know you heard that sound. Heard well, yeah, and this is the town. Los Angeles, I'm so scandalous. Girl, come around and your pants is lit. Yeah, and your panties is nice. Victoria's Secret.
What's up, guys? Xavier here with you on the How'd You Do It podcast. We're in a different location today, as you guys might have noticed, but I'm hanging out with the man who's made it all worth it, Timothy Delaghetto.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
And look, me and Tim are going to come clean right away. We had about a 30-minute little wait time.
Yeah.
May have gone next door and had. We were like, well, we're gonna grab a drink. I was thinking like kombucha or like a milkshake. Guy says, $5. What was it?
$5 Jameson shots, yeah.
And the next thing I know, we're sitting in a bar on like Hollywood Boulevard, tourist town, doing shots with Tim.
Let me tell you, if I would have known you were thinking about kombucha, I would not have agreed to it.
I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just going with it.
As soon as you said drinks, I was like, let's find a bar on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, he's Australian. Naturally, he means like hard alcohol. But anyway,
yeah, Jameson, Australian for kombucha.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I feel like I've done half the interview because me and Tim have already sat at a bar like in the middle of the day on a Tuesday and been drinking together.
We bonded, yeah.
But mate, I tried to avoid a lot of the things I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But anyway, first of all, dude, so you're a busy guy, man. Like, I know that you've, speaking of you being an OG and being in the game a long time, so I've been in a rabbit hole of your videos for the last couple of days. So different ones are popping up, you know what I mean? So something from like a couple of days ago is popping up, something from 6 years ago. One that really caught my attention that I thought was great was on your vlog channel, was just talking about like the adpocalypse.
Yeah.
And you know, YouTube is being affected by, YouTube coming down pretty hard on like advertising and everything. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to get your, as a guy that has been in the industry a long time, I just wanted to get your perspective on right now on where things are at.
In like on YouTube?
Yeah, being like, you know, obviously, man, you've bought a house recently.
Yeah.
You know, you're an adult now, right? So you have
you
have a job where you're a creator, you're an artist, but you've also got to answer to people like banks who need consistent checks and things like that. You know, for a mortgage, it's all big person things. Mm-hmm. You know, do you think like in the current climate of the industry right now, is YouTube something you can rely on to keep the banks happy for the next 30 years?
Well, you know what, man? It's interesting because, like, I'm an adult, so I got a house and a mortgage and shit, and it's interesting because I'm definitely not making as much money as I did on YouTube, like I say, when I was kind of at my prime on YouTube. You know, luckily for me, you know, YouTube's opened up so many doors that. When previously it was my main point of income, now YouTube money is almost like backup money for me, where I can concentrate and use all the other things that I've been doing as my main source of income. And YouTube's kind of like extra money, which is great, especially since, you know, the YouTube views aren't like what they used to be. And it's interesting for me because, you know, I used to be primarily sketch and really I really love doing like produced content, making cool shit, but it's just really not, for me, it's not really where people go to watch sketches like that anymore. YouTube recently has kind of just turned into like, I don't know, like talk radio. You know, everybody has a podcast, you know? And I thought,
everybody's doing this.
Yeah, for real. Like, let me hop on the podcast train as well, because I realized, you know, it definitely got frustrating for me as somebody who liked to do sketches, who liked to do like, you know, short form content. And I would get a crew and I would write a script and I would do a whole like production for like a day or a day and a half for this little like shiny 3 to 5 minute video that I was really proud of. Yep. And it would get like a quarter of the views as opposed to when I would just sit and do a mukbang with my friend and eat tacos for an hour, you know what I'm saying? And it gets to a point where you kind of have to like look at the business side of things, where originally I wanted people to go to my YouTube and be like, oh, okay, almost like a resume. It's like, oh, he can write, he can act, he can do this type of stuff. And then, and now that I feel like I've crossed over to an extent, now it's like, let me do what makes the most sense, which is something where I can not spend money on, and where it's still lucrative for me, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I do the podcast, I do the mukbangs now. And because I got to pay that mortgage, you know what I'm saying?
And people obviously are responding to it. You know?
And so, you know, it's like you never really know what's going to work. It's crazy because, you know, who knows? Maybe sketches will come back, or maybe you really never know.
So
know?
are you thinking that, like, did you see a difference? I mean, from what I can tell from what you're just saying then, and from my own perspective, like, people are sort of really into seeing just rawness.
Yeah,
right?
completely. They like rawness. They like real stuff. That's why my food show did well. It does well, and like people like interviews and more like almost it's a lot of commentary. Like some of the most popping YouTubers now are people that just talk about other YouTubers, or discuss other people's drama or discuss news, and it just became a place where I feel like people like to just put stuff on in the background where you don't necessarily have to sit and watch. You can just hear someone talk, hear someone interview, hear someone just talking about what's going on. And I'm not gonna lie, that's the same for me. When I'm like about to take a shower, I don't wanna watch a sketch. I wanna put on a 20-minute list of top 10 movies where the villain dressed as like a monkey or something,
Yeah, just like passive, just the easily digestible content.
Yeah.
That's like, generally, it's like almost like video is like, it's basically the shorter the better. Audio, for your older demographic who was sort of driving to work, driving to the studio, doing different things that they can listen to in the background.
Yeah, my demo is definitely older now too. So it's always been kind of older.
Yeah, they've sort of grown up with you, I guess. How would you? If you had to go back and say, okay, from when I first started to this year, I was doing this. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. How would you describe those phases?
From when I first started?
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let's see. When I first started, I was doing videos off my webcam.
Yep.
There was no money in it. Like the monetization wasn't even a thing yet, I was doing it for fun and because I felt like this might be a good way to get my name out there. And then phase 2 was kind of like, okay, this might potentially be a thing. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of figuring out the business side of things. I started working with like MCN, and then I was investing in just getting the production value a little higher. Phase 3 is I feel like where it really kind of starts to hit its stride, and I kind of hit like almost like a little like my little golden age, where I feel like I could put out any stupid skit. I know it's gonna do numbers, and I was working with this production company where it was like any idea that was like, no matter how weird it was, I could do, and I didn't have to worry about it financially.
Yeah, right.
And now it's kind of in this place where, it's less about what I'm doing creatively and more about just being just kind of like consistent. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on just I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing the food show. Now YouTube isn't my priority like it was before, mm-hmm. and it was never a plan for YouTube to be my priority because when I started, it was like no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
There was no way to make money off of it, or no one knew, and no one knew what it was going to become. Yeah,
you did a vlog in I think it was 2017, and you were talking about it being the first year where you'd made more money off brand deals and things outside of YouTube. That was 2017. Has it continued to go that route?
Yeah, it's crazy because that year, I think I was the first time the adpocalypse really hit people.
Yep.
And I.
Apocalypse.
It's so serious. And I remember my tax guy telling me specifically, he was like, wow, he was surprised because the year before, like I want to say 75% of my money was coming out of YouTube, and then the other 25% was from other stuff. And then that year, because I was doing the TV stuff and I was doing brand deals, he was like, wow, everything kind of flipped for you now. He's like, 75% of your income is from other stuff, and 25% is from YouTube. And he's like, you're lucky because with what's happening with YouTube lately, a lot of people have been like shitting themselves, unable to pay their bills, and panicking, like, what am I gonna do right now?
Do you feel like you sort of diversified at the right time?
Yeah, totally. The thing about it is, YouTube was always, even though it was like, that's where I started, and I'm super grateful for the doors it's opened up for me, it was never my end goal,
Mm-hmm.
because as opposed to where I feel like a lot of kids now, they see YouTube stars and they're like, wow, I want to be a YouTube star. When I got on YouTube, it was because I was like, dude, I want to be a star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, this will be my way to maybe get my face out there. And it's still like that for me. It's crazy because I've been on YouTube for over 10 years, and I still feel like I'm really just beginning to get my foot in the door of what I want to do and where I want to and who I want to work with. So I almost feel like after 10 years of building up my resume on YouTube, where the industry is now really beginning to finally seriously look at like new media creators as like a actual talent pool for people. I feel like, oh, thank God I was doing sketches and shit like that, where they can look at my videos and be like, oh, okay, no, he's not just like, you know, shoving chili peppers up his like dick hole.
Yeah.
And he's like actually putting out real content, you know?
He's more, you got our producer. Our producer's behind the camera over there just laughing. You got him. You got Elwin right in the right spot there.
If I can get behind the camera people to break, I'm like, yes, it's a good one.
Mate, and what do you, I mean, you mentioned about kids, you know, and you're right, bro. Like, you know, you mentioned that kids are saying, hey, I want to grow up and be a YouTuber. Hey, I want to grow up and be an influencer.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, you know what, man? It's like, I can't be mad at the kids for seeing what is popping and wanting to do that. Like, of course, if I was growing up now and I saw what I saw on Instagram, where it's like, you know, girls are, you know, I mean, hey, and mad love to them making it work, like wearing bikinis and making 6 figures off of it on Instagram, like getting all these brand deals. It's like, hey, if that's the way you want to go, that's the way you want to go, you know? I feel like, but it's also kind of dangerous, you know? It's like they don't realize a lot of this shit is not what it seems, you know? And I think, but I'm also not gonna tell a kid his dream is silly for him seeing YouTube fame and wanting to be YouTube famous. Like, I mean, part of the reason why I did what I was doing growing up is because I saw celebrities and actors and I wanted what they did and what they do, you know? So it's like, hey man, that makes you happy, then good luck.
Yeah, and where do you, like with all the changes, you know, with the adpocalypse and with your transition off, you know, not off YouTube, but I guess your main revenue stream not being YouTube anymore. What's your prediction over the next sort of, I don't know, 5 years? Where do you think all this is heading? Like, we're in this, you know, people say, hey, the influencer bubble's going to burst. You know, there's not going to be as much money in the influencer thing, you know, in a couple of years. It's oversaturated. Something's going to happen. You know, what's your take on all that?
Man, I don't know. I don't see it bursting like that because I feel like kids really love social media, you know, and for every person that has millions of followers, there's going to be a company that's going to want to pay them to promote a product, and there's always going to be somebody with millions of followers, you know what I'm saying? That's just who we are as a culture. Like, we're nosy people, we like to follow people, we like to look at pictures, you know what I'm saying? And it really, you know, it's true. Like, I think seeing people you follow on Instagram promote a product is probably going to work better than seeing a random ass commercial that you're not even paying attention to anyways.
Or a billboard,
Or a billboard,
Sure,
you know, you drive past a billboard, you like, you know, you don't pay attention to that stuff, you know, but when you see maybe your favorite personality plug in some Jack in the Box tacos, you're like, oh shit, I'm going to eat some Jack in the Box tacos, you know, because it looks good.
Do you think I could leave you with a challenge to just do a little 1 or 2 line rap and incorporate the word heard well in it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. You gonna beatbox?
Yep.
All right. Yo. I like Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell. Listen to it once, I don't know if you heard well. Yeah, and I'm on the scene, streaming this thing right now on caffeine. And you know I put it down. White girls, black girls, and the brown. I know you heard that sound. Heard well, yeah, and this is the town. Los Angeles, I'm so scandalous. Girl, come around and your pants is lit. Yeah, and your panties is nice. Victoria's Secret.
Well done. Tim Delaghetto, my name's Xavier Brinkman. This is a How'd You Do It podcast. I'm covered in my own spit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah.
What a performance. That was great. That was completely on the spot. Well done.
Thanks for having me.
If you like what you saw, make sure you check out some of our other videos right here. And also be sure to subscribe to our channel right here for new videos coming out every week.